That's harder than crossing ice caps, huh?
Welcome to the Overheard Podcast, recorded live in Banff. My name is Daniel Rudel, and with me always is my co-host,
Matty Rage. Let's go.
Very, very special guest today. We are exploring the ends of the earth with Børge Ousland and Vincent Colliard. Thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen. How's the day treating you so far?
Not too bad.
Beautiful day here in Banff. Can't ask for better. How's the festival treating you so far? You guys are just getting in?
You got in.
Yeah, last night from northern Norway, straight to Banff for the first time.
Nice.
And I got in the day before on the second, so I had a little bit more time to adjust.
Nice. How was it? How was your first trip into the Rockies?
It's not the first.
No?
No.
Oh, no.
This is my
you.
third time here.
Nice.
Yeah. I
Still-
was here first time in the early or mid 90s, I think. And then in 2009, I was here.
Amazing.
And then I did a virtual thing during COVID. So maybe 4 times with the virtual thing.
Maybe 3.5.
Yeah, okay.
How's the journey for you guys?
Which journey?
Getting here to Banff? A little easier than your other ones, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, pretty straightforward, long, but red eye mission still, coming from northern Norway.
Yeah.
But
He brought his wife and his 17-month-old kid.
I
so
made
he had
such a
little
big
bit,
mistake of bringing them. Well, not them, but him, because he's like 17 months. And yesterday we were in the flight in between Frankfurt and Calgary for 10 hours straight.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so challenging. So it's more challenging to be a parent than to cross ice caps, at least for me.
You can put him on the top shelf and close the door.
Yeah, maybe on the
hear about
return.
that trick?
Yeah, I'm actually doing the return just by myself, so I'll think about that.
Amazing stuff. Well, thanks again for joining us, guys. For our listeners out there who maybe have never heard of you, Børge Ousland began his career in the Norwegian Navy Special Forces before dedicating his life to exploration. He was the first person to cross Antarctica solo and unsupported, and the first to reach both the North and South Poles alone. For more than 3 decades, he's led groundbreaking expeditions across the Arctic and Antarctic, from skiing the poles in total darkness to sailing around the entire Arctic Ocean without an icebreaker. His adventures have inspired films, books, and a generation of explorers around the world. Vincent Colliard represents a new generation of explorers, blending endurance, science, and environmental activism. In 2024, he broke the world record for fastest solo unsupported journey to the South Pole, covering over 1,100 kilometers in just 22 days. Together, Børge and Vincent founded the IceLegacy Project, a mission to cross the world's 20 largest ice caps and raise awareness of their rapid retreat. Through this work, they're bridging the worlds of adventure and science, bringing back stories and data from some of the most remote and fragile places on Earth. Where do we begin, gentlemen? What pulled you towards Arctic exploration in the first place?
Who do you ask?
Both. What do you think?
Well, maybe I should start since I was the first.
Since you started first. What do you?
or I was probably when you crossed Greenland, I was like 2 years old.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe you start.
That's true. Well, because you wouldn't remember that time at all. The time before climate change, actually.
Yeah,
Back in 1986, that's when I did the first expedition.
Very cool.
And back then, nobody spoke about climate change, so my first take on going on exploration in the Arctic and Antarctic region was pure adventure, trying to push the limits to do some great journeys out there. And see what's out there. And it's been now next year 40 years in the field, more or less. Yeah.
Wild.
More than 30 expeditions.
Has science and data collecting always been a part of that, or is that something that's relatively new?
No, that's not been a part of. I've been kind of focused on the sports expedition and the physical and the mental challenge of it all. The science, we're not scientists, just to set that straight. But we try to do what we can on the trips we go on with the IceLegacy Project. Because we do believe that science is important to make sound decisions, but you also need to interact with the normal guy in the street that doesn't read scientific reports. So that's why we say mixing science and adventure. But the base of what we're doing is adventure and coming back with stories and impressions from the fields. Someone has to go out there and tell people what it looks like. That's us.
Absolutely. The drive to go and explore these places that no one or not a lot of people ever get to see is quite the feat, for sure. Vincent, you've said that reading adventure stories in your youth maybe led you towards this path. Is there any particular story that kind of ignited that fire in you?
The survival story of Shackleton. Amazing expedition, and also I heard about the Norwegians, Nansen, Amundsen. You have Børge here today.
Yeah.
He's in the line of them to me. And then that's where it started. There's no sea ice where I come from. I come from a surfer place, surf town in the southwest of France. I was really, from a young age, attracted by mountaineering in the Pyrenees. So I liked the snow and being outside, but nothing compared to the polar regions. And I caught the virus after reading stories, and I thought I need to travel myself and see what it's like.
Well, I think what you guys are doing really does a good job of inspiring other people to take that step further into the unknown, which is something not a lot of people are willing to do, honestly. We live in a place here in Banff that has tons of people pushing the envelope, but what you guys do is something totally different.
That's a whole different level. Yeah.
You've both faced moments where the line between survival and success is razor thin. Do you guys have any moments that stand out in your memory as life-changing?
Well, just to comment on what you said before, I think also one of the missions we have with the IceLegacy Project is just inspire people to go out there, and that's a wonderful thing to be out there and known nowhere and explore the nature and spending time in tents and on skis. And maybe it's a little bit naive, but we think that if you use something, you're in a better position to take care of it. So that's an important part of the mission we have with the IceLegacy Project. But yeah, life-changing experience. I guess for me, the first North Pole trip, first solo trip to the North Pole, that was for me a very defining expedition. That's where I really understood what is there in all of us, really, when it comes to mental and physical strength. Yeah, so that was one of my most important memories and experiences.
Since you've been exploring, especially polar regions, for so long, do you find it's gotten easier over the years as far as like technologies come involved to explore these places?
Yeah, for sure. It's and when I started these expeditions, I have to make my own clothes basically.
Oh, jeez, crazy.
But now you can, and I designed sleds, and I designed a suit to swim across open water in the polar ocean and things like that, which are things that gradually came into place because I was out there and saw what needed to be made, and so it's all the time. I think equipment does become better all the time. Yeah, lighter, stronger, or more specially made equipment to deal with different tasks.
For sure. Obviously, the cold being
Cold being a big breaker
one.
of stuff that everything
Yeah.
that can break will break in the cold.
Absolutely.
Oh, we all know that all too well up in the mountains.
Yeah, so you guys are mountain climbers yourself?
No, not a mountain climber, but I spent enough time outside. We've been here, I've been here, almost 12 years now. Dan, 14, 15, something like that?
Yeah, 15, 16. I wouldn't consider myself a climber, but
Trekker.
I've hiked a lot of these mountains around here. I've been to the summits of a lot of them. It's something that I'm very proud of when I stand in the middle of Banff saying, been to that one, been to that one, been to that one. So yeah, I do have that adventure spirit in me. And then winter sports too. I've taken on touring in the past 3 seasons now. So as you get super comfortable riding the resort and what you know, looking across the valley and saying, hey, maybe we go ski that, is something that's really caught my attention over the last few years and really got me focused on learning the skills to be out there for sure. So yeah, when I look at your feats and I look at what I'm doing, I'm like, it's very, very mind-blowing stuff. Vincent, your solo record-breaking trek to the South Pole earlier this year, 22 days unsupported in some of the harshest environments that's possible on the planet. What did that journey teach you about yourself?
Well, I think we set our boundaries where our imagination is.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, of course, before starting this trip, I had a lot of doubts. You know,
Fair
I
enough.
gotta ski like 50 kilometers per day, every day. You know, there's no days where you can sit in the tent and because you have a sore throat or
Fair.
you don't feel so good and you don't have the good morale, and so you gotta go and try to push the envelope. I learned this, about myself, and I also. Yeah, one more time I realized that when you're solo on the ice, it's the big title, but I never felt alone because it's a lot of people involved, from customizing equipment to help me prepare, to the support that I have from my wife, Caroline. So yeah, all these things I had the time to meditate through them.
No doubt.
Yeah. And basically,
I thought
when
you were skiing.
Yeah, me too. Maybe I was floating. No, yeah, but the thing is, there's not so many moments where we can think that Antarctica is kind of flat and boring, and you just it's going to be 22 days of thinking about your life and your friends and what you want to do, what the mistake you have done in your life and you don't want to do again. But you don't have that much time for it in the end because the pace has to be quite high all the time, and you want to optimize the details as much as possible. So navigation is very important. You don't want to zigzag.
Of course,
you want to, be very accurate and there is always something you need to adjust your clothing. You gotta try to stay cold, a little bit cold all the time. So that forces you to be in movement. And then you got all these, question marks, because I was down there with a super light tent. It was 1.8 kilo. So then you're like, I'm a little bit afraid that, so you have these things in mind when you hear that the wind is going to pick up. You're like, shall I just keep on pushing and then wait until the conditions are better? So yeah, you're...
So it sounds like you don't really have much time to think about what we would... it's not like your mind is blank when you're out there, right? Like everything is super task-oriented and there's always something needing to be done.
Absolutely.
What kind of training do you undergo to do something like that?
So training-wise, I think it's more, at least for me, it's more a philosophy and a lifestyle more than just a training mission for a few months, because training has been just part of my life, and then for this specific project, I took basically a year where I was training nearly half a day every day. And I went because I was not born on skis like the Norwegians. I thought I gotta go and train where these guys are training.
For sure.
So I was training and I was seeing them, and that was very inspiring. And so, because of course we can't think, maybe you can think that when you pull a sled to the South Pole, you walk. But if you ski, it makes, I think, a big difference. And that's where I need to get better. And, you know, there are some small sastrugi, it's called, like a small, the surface is not flat all the time because the wind creates these little bumps. And so you need to use, for example, these sastrugi to ski them instead of just walking them.
So, like, use that to your advantage to conserve energy, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
You did mention navigation earlier. What are some of the tools that you use to navigate out there? Using just like regular GPS to make sure you're going in a straight line? Because obviously there's no markers or very little markers on the land.
Navigation-wise, it's so Børge back in the days when I was a greenhorn, like taught me, you know, to navigate with the sun. Because basically when I was skiing 12 hours, let's say 12 hours a day in Antarctica, I wake up and I start skiing. I have the shadow on one side, 90 degrees, and then 12 hours later, because of the course of the sun is going to make 180 degrees. So then I won't go to sleep until I have the shadow 90 degrees on the other side.
That's a good way
So
to do
that's very stable for navigating. And then also, well, Børge can talk more about the snow more than I do when he crossed Antarctica alone unsupported. But yeah, the marks in the snow, there's predominant winds. So then you put your skis and then you see the angle. And you say, okay, now I'm at 30 degrees from these types of marks. And there are different families of marks because of the wind, you know.
Very cool.
So that's very interesting. And also on the ski poles, you put extra fabrics. And so let's say if the wind comes from the pole, so it's straight in your face, then these fabrics will be parallel to your skis.
Interesting.
So wild.
How did you come up with these navigation tools? Were they taught to you, or is it something that is...
Well, it's a little bit about mathematics, actually, because the sun travels 360 degrees in 24 hours. And if you divide 360 by 24, you get...
Sorry?
15.
Yeah. My math brain is not on right now. So I'm sorry.
So the sun moves 15 degrees each hour.
Cool.
And that's very easy to see on the shadow on the ski pole. That okay. So, but you need a precise watch to know the exact local time to know the longitude you're at, and that means that the sun is going to be, you know, in the south, it's going to be directly north, 12 o'clock, and then it just moves 15 degrees. So, and the winds, I think I learned that from Christian de Marliave, actually, when he had these stripes on the ski poles to flap it, and you hold it up and you see the angle of that. Okay, that's the angle of the wind. I need to keep going at a specific angle on my flaps to reach my destination. And the wind changes, but not so often.
Okay.
And you can double check with the GPS from time to time.
Very interesting.
So, but it's, you know, for me, I have been through the whole process from the old style way of sextant reading on the first expedition in 1986 to now using GPS every kind of hour on the way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, do you know the stars, Børge? Have you ever navigated with the stars?
The stars, only the North Star, but the other stars moving just too fast. But the North Star is quite stable.
Like the Viking used to.
Yeah,
they used to
and
navigate
also
with the stars. Right?
The people of the South Pacific, they didn't know the compass. They were just using the stars, and so when they came up above the horizon.
Yeah.
Why there's a good book, Why Ancient Wisdom Matters in the Modern World, that describes these things, that all the knowledge that these people lived way back, and they knew these things so much better than we know today.
For sure, because it's like, you know, before, say, cell phones, you would remember 25, 30 different phone numbers, and now how many phone numbers do you guys know off by heart?
Most people don't even know what their own phone number is. You're like, wait, what's my phone number?
My wife she gets very mad at me when I don't remember her phone number.
So maybe, like, contrary to popular belief that the more technological ways of navigation maybe not always the best. It's kind of a blend of the two where you truly find success.
Yeah, like the Vikings, they could know where they were just from the wave patterns when they were sailing and things like that. So
Wow.
all this knowledge are basically lost today.
Crazy.
Right on.
Well, coming from Special Forces, like we mentioned that you were in Norway Special Forces, did some deep sea diving. How did that whole experience kind of prepare you for your adventures on the ice?
Well, I think in two ways. One is preparation.
Right.
If you're jumping off a plane with a parachute, you need to be prepared and you need to know what you're doing and what's going to happen. So that thorough preparation that I learned in the military, that I've taken with me into the expedition life. And the diving, the deep sea diving, there was a lot of accidents back then in the 80s, but also at the same time high level of focus on safety. But when you're diving at 150 meters, that's like 400 or 500 feet in the North Sea, you know that the only person you really can trust, that's yourself.
Yeah,
So
fair.
I always looked upon safety as a personal responsibility, which for me is about trying to be that little step ahead of yourself all the time, try to understand what is happening before it happens so you're kind of ahead. And if something goes wrong, you know what to do because that's a part of your training. So that's, I think, the basics I learned from these two disciplines.
Crazy.
Amazing. Let's move on to the IceLegacy Project. How did this idea first come to be? You guys are crossing 20 of the largest ice caps in the world, correct?
Correct.
8 of them being completed?
Well, depends who you ask, but it's more.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a couple before. And also that's also why this project came to life, because I saw first of all, I saw the changes in the polar ocean, especially in 2007 was a big dip in the ice cover of the polar ocean, the drift ice, lost 30% in 2007.
Wow.
And also I've seen the changes on the ice fields in Patagonia and other places, and then I got the idea to make a project, IceLegacy, and I asked Vincent and if we should do it together, because we had already done one trip together, and we were a good team, and we decided in 2012 to start this project. So it's been a long process and a long project. And how many? 12 ice fields we crossed together now.
Okay, 12.
12,
Crazy.
yeah.
Beautiful.
The
I saw
first
on
one.
the website, maybe it hasn't been
It's
updated.
probably updated. Nobody uses websites anymore. They use social media.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
true.
doubt.
Right. What are we doing? You mentioned that you decided to ask Vincent because you guys made a good team. What makes a good team out there on the ice?
Well, you wanna?
Complement. You got to be complementary. So
In skills, right?
Yeah, in skills. Well, of course, when I started, it's very hard to. Me, I had like not much experience. So then, what's
Fair
the
enough.
complementary to Børge? It's like because the gap was very big, but then So this.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, no.
He's a fast learner.
And
12 years.
Yeah. Pretty fast. A lot of time to learn.
We spent more than a year in the tent together. And then good team is, I think, being on the same page when it comes to safety. Because I guess one adrenaline junkie with one young father who wants to come home to his family. I'm not sure that's the best match.
Yeah, fair enough.
So safety, I think, is important. And I think philosophy, values, being honesty is very important, because there's a lot of bullshit in the stories in the polar world.
Okay, and as far as like embellishing or...
Yeah, and also what you say, because lots of the time, sometimes you're just alone and you can tell the story you like. And today there are trackers and we can verify things.
True.
But so I think,
I didn't even think of that. I didn't think of a polar explorer as someone to want to falsify a story.
It's like
You
the
know?
classic,
Well,
the
yeah.
classic, like, I caught a fish, it was this big.
Yeah.
It was only this big.
Yeah, not everyone is here for the same reason. If you seek fame for the sake of it, so then maybe you're ready to cut a few corners and take a few shortcuts when you claim things.
Interesting.
Without giving names,
Not needed.
But I think honesty. I think is important to build a good, strong team on the long run.
For sure, because you're trusting the other person with your life, right? I mean, like you said earlier, trusting yourself in the deep sea diving, you have to open that circle up a little bit and let other people in. That might not be so easy at times. How is it for you?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is to have, in addition to what Vincent mentioned, is to have a common understanding of the goal. That you have to know why do you want to go there, and agree on that, because all the big disagreements often happens on crossroads when things are getting a little bit tough. Shall we continue or shall we call it a day? Shall we call the helicopter or shall we continue? Things like that. So it's very important that your expedition partner is able to take care of himself mentally, because some of these trips are just so hard that it's difficult to pull the expedition for two. You need someone who has the same understanding of why we're here, why are we putting in all this effort, and do we agree that we do what we can to reach that goal, or because you can have a friend and go on a trip in the mountain for 2 weeks, and one guy is complaining all the time, and you will still be friends, but that's not going to work on the polar ocean or
No doubt.
across some huge ice field.
Wild. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Like, it's just you two out there, right? So if you're not getting along, that's going to make for quite a long trip out on the ice.
Yeah, it's like you can't really waste energy on small details, and the big picture and the goal, as Børge said. Yeah.
Like you mentioned, over a year together in a tent, you better like your roommate, right? That's for sure. Let's talk about a little bit about the scientific data that you guys are collecting. What hard data are you collecting, and what is it going towards as far as research?
Well, we can't brag of too much, but we've done some sampling of both isotopes, microplastic, and microalgae on the expeditions. Did I forget anything? No. So that ends up in some research lab, and together with the big picture of what is happening with snow and ice, in these cold regions.
What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the data you've collected?
Well, visually, it's definitely that the ice is melting much faster than most people are aware of, and it's a sense of urgency and a worrying that we need to get that message across to the world, that the ice is melting here and now, that climate change is not something that's happening in the future, it's happening now, actually. Yeah. And that's, for me personally, my take on this is that this is a personal responsibility that we all have. If you're a part of the problem, you need also to be a part of the solution.
Because you've seen it firsthand, right?
I do.
For 40 years.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Well, it in one way, it makes me feel a little bit sad that we are about to fail as species. And it's sad. The world will still keep on spinning, but the sad thing is, if all the great things that we have created as humans, all the art and the literature and the love will be lost somehow, and that will be a shame, I think. But also, my feeling around this is that we have the chance to do what we're good at, and that is working together and show what we can achieve as species. So it goes both ways, but the window of making that change is getting smaller and smaller.
Some would argue that window is closed, essentially, when it comes to solving climate change. Some would argue. Obviously, me and Matt, we're not scientists. We're not here to give our opinions on that.
No, but that's true. But at the same time, I think it was a Norwegian philosopher who said that now it's too late to be a pessimist. So we just have to keep on working and pushing.
Very well said. Very well said. What do you think the Banff Center Mountain Film and Book Festival does to kind of help get that message out?
Well, first of all, you're gathering a lot of good people here, and this is is amplifier the right word?
Yeah,
It kind of amplifies things and get it out in the world. And you have the Banff tour. You get all these great films about the outdoors all over the world. So I think it plays an important role, and we're very, happy to be invited to be here and to be a part of the process and be a part of that communication.
Absolutely. The story is an incredible one. I think one that needs to be shared more. I mean, I think if more people had half of the courage that you guys had to stand up for the environment, we might be in a different place that we are today. You guys will be speaking later today, actually, at a symposium, along with some films from the festival. Without giving too much away, what do you hope that the audience takes away from your presentation tonight?
I hope they see and understand the value of exploring these regions, because in the end we think that they are brutal regions, but they are very fragile. Mm-hmm. And as Børge was saying, when the ice melts, on the polar ocean, then you see open ocean. When you see open ocean, it's dark. When it's dark, then it accelerates the melt of ice around even faster. So I hope they will see the importance of crossing these ice caps. It's not just about taking planes, because of course we have a very high impact, CO2 impact, when we fly the Earth all in these regions. That we can't deny. Staying in the cave, I'm not sure that's the solution either, because I always. There's really like one example of one expedition that I really liked when an American, Will Steger, crossed Antarctica. Okay. With 6 team members, as far as I remember, different countries. And big, long, huge 200 plus days across Antarctica with dogs. Wow. And in the end, he talked to the highest political people in the US. And they managed to ban mining in Antarctica. Amazing. So it's like the bridge in between the adventure and the purpose is really there. For sure. And that's what I hope people will understand that we are trying to do with IceLegacy tonight.
It seems like the more extreme the environment, the closer that bridge tends to be. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are really bringing that to the forefront, because no one's going there. If you guys didn't go there, who would be talking about it, right?
No, someone has to go there.
That's it. Except for maybe the conspiracy theorists. What would you say to them who think that the poles are these places of crazy conspiracies and otherworldly things? What would your response be to those people?
It's just nature. It's just pure nature out there at its strongest. There is no stranded airship at the North Pole. There's not a big hole. Nothing. Just nature.
Just nature. I don't want to focus on it too much because I don't want to give it any more validity, but I figured I gotta ask guys that have actually been there to calm those people down. What would you guys say when you come back from, say, a long expedition? What's the hardest part of like acclimatizing back to your real life?
Well, I guess that's it's not a big deal, but it's out there you are faced with the absolute truth, the weather, the progress, and what's happening, and you're responsible all the time for your own action. And when you get back home, you're within among people that doesn't mean what they say and doesn't say what they mean. So it's a little bit, you have to adjust to that way of living, and so that's a little bit strange. But apart from that, I just think it's great to be back. It's not for me that to have been out there and doing hard expeditions and the rest of the life is just boring. I think it's just great to be back.
Nice.
Do you have like a meal that you crave when you come back, or like a go-to? Like,
for me, I think that must be pancakes with lots of sour cream and bacon and blueberry jam.
Nice.
Something like that. Something greasy and fatty.
Vincent, what about for you?
But I would say same here, something juicy.
Yeah.
Even though this will last maybe a couple of evenings and then back to fresh vegetables.
For sure. Good fuel in, good fuel out, right?
Yeah.
So you both achieve things that no one else has or that no one else would even kind of dream of doing. What keeps you motivated to keep pushing on with your mission?
Well, I think for me, it's the love of nature and adventure. You know, we have one life and we need to use it to the max. And I want to fill my life with good emotions and good experiences. And because I think that when you're lying there older and looking back on your life, it's not the time spent in bed you're going to remember. So yeah. So that is one reason to keep going out there and seek out and see what's beyond that fence.
Mm-hmm. What about for you, Vincent?
I would say one part of me still don't know why.
Yeah, fair.
Because I see sometimes like dogs when they're going with a musher and they go out on a trip. And they're just born to pull their sled.
Yeah.
And, you know, they don't question it. And I feel like there is a part of me that is like this. I have this burning fire. And then in the same time, I think when, doing expeditions really balances me out. Because we don't realize until we suffer or until we lack food or we lack comfort that we basically take a lot of things for granted back home when suddenly when we just push the door and then we open touch the electrical button and there's light.
Yeah.
This when you do a winter trip in the Arctic. Then that light is very precious.
That seems far away out there, I bet.
Yeah, so then you get to appreciate small details that if I would like stay home all the time, I would just forget. And I think it's the best antidepressant. Yeah, I think adventure is amazing because what we've done with Børge and all these trips together. Now I feel that. You know, it's kind of rare in life when you have this friendship that you can be blind about because you trust that person.
True.
And this is very beautiful, and it's so rare. We get so like confused, I think, in the end with all the social media. We pretend to have good lives on Instagram, but then we don't really have good lives back home. So yeah, it's. I think it's very authentic and genuine to go on expeditions and. It builds character and it builds strong foundations to survive the digital world.
Sure. I think it really reinforces the practice what you preach mentality. Don't just talk about being an activist, go out and do something about it, I think is a very important point to highlight.
And what will we tell our children when we will get old?
Yeah. You watched every movie on Netflix. Not quite the same accomplishment. What do you guys wish that people understood more about the poles that they might not grasp looking at them from a distance?
Well, I think it's to understand that the poles or kind of the cryosphere is not just some isolated part where far north or far south. It's a part of the whole climate on Earth, and it's really the fridge of the world, you know, and that the climate on Earth is something that is dependent on a stable piece of ice in the north and the south, and if that ice melts, it's going to change the rest of the world as well. Mm-hmm. You know, a melting ice field will end up in the sea and contribute to sea level rise. So it's all connected and it's all together, and we're here on this little piece of beautiful blue ocean island in green, and there is no other alternative. So we just have to take care of it.
Yeah,
basically.
I would agree with you there. What about for you, Vincent?
Same. Yeah, I joined Børge on this one, and and I will just add, as I said earlier, these regions, when people will probably think that traveling to these regions, oh, it's cold, it's brutal, and it's windy, and just because the people, they just like would take it for themselves because they didn't bring enough clothing. Mm-hmm. But on the bigger picture, they are probably one of the most fragile environments on the planet. Mm-hmm. So if these big freezers are at stake and in danger, maybe we're gonna have all fever in the end.
So maybe we need to pay more attention to what's going on at the top and the bottom. What is next for both of you personally, and then for the IceLegacy Project conjoined?
Well, yeah, personally.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's I have a small hotel up in the northern part of Norway, and I've been away for 4 months this year, so that place needs a little bit of attention. So I'm going up there to do some maintenance and stuff and renovate the 3 bedrooms, and making sure that it's all good for next season. And for the IceLegacy Project, I guess we haven't decided yet. Since we just came back from Ellesmere Island, we need to let it simmer a bit. And Vincent might be doing some expeditions on his own, so we'll see.
Yeah, so maybe a trip to we'll see Antarctica. These are the best years now. You have a little bit of experience and you still have a little bit endurance.
Yeah.
So I think these are the best years now to try to exploit. And we also have this company together with Børge, where we guide people in the polar regions.
Polar regions.
So I hope
cool.
to spend dedicate some time to,
How can people get in contact with you if they want to support your cause or go on an expedition?
So if they want to support the cause, it's on icelegacy.org, and if they want to go on an expedition, they go to ousland.com or .no.
That's it. Ousland. The company is named Ousland Colliard, but the website at this stage is ousland.no or .com.
Awesome.
Very cool.
We'll also be speaking later today. I believe there are still tickets available, so if you want to hear more, you can go get some on the Banff Center website. That's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your exploits, your experience, and your philosophies with us. We got to give a big shout out to Drink Shaft, our oldest sponsor since day one. We have to give a big thank you to the Banff Center Mountain Film and Book Festival for having us and putting you guys in the seats in front of us. So big thank you for letting us pick your brain. And we're looking forward to your presentation later.
Thanks for having us.
No problem, guys. And like every week,
See you next Tuesday.